Hello there, I'm Matthew Wright, you're watching Inside Out London. Here's what's coming up on tonight's show. Illegal squat raves and why the police are powerless to stop them.
This is the classic signs of, continuous rave parties. This used to be a beautiful building. This is just absolutely trash now.
Why Londoners are throwing gold parties to cash in on their old bling.
There could be as much as £2 billion worth of gold in backs of drawers.
And it's back. The revamped Routemaster is finally unveiled.
Obviously, this is something that I have sat awake at night thinking about for a long time.
There have been plenty of headlines about squatters lately, but the residential buildings they target are only part of the picture. Because every weekend, thousands of revellers are descending on disused warehouses and offices to binge on music, drugs and booze. These so-called squat parties are lining the pockets of criminal gangs to the tune of tens of thousands of pounds. And what's more, the police are powerless to stop them, as our reporter Richard Adams discovered.
This is the result of just one squat party. They're a growing phenomenon happening across the capital every weekend.
We've got defecation, we've got wanton vandalism of fixtures and fittings throughout the premises. We're experiencing a squat party every week.
You see streams of people coming in on Saturday afternoon and then they leave. You see them leaving about 3 or 4 in the afternoon Sunday and the floor is vibrating all the time.
It wouldn't be difficult to find 1 or 2 or 3 going on in London every weekend, if not more.
Halloween weekend. A disused Royal Mail depot in New Oxford Street becomes the venue for a squat party. The 18-hour spree of destruction makes national headlines.
A squat party is an umbrella term that basically just describes a room that's being used illegally to put on a party.
Part of an underground scene, squat parties aren't open to everyone.
They're normally put on by people who know each other. They're normally a collective and quite exclusive because they're afraid of attracting the wrong type of people who might spoil the atmosphere or cause trouble.
I want to know how hard it is to get into a squat party. There are dozens being promoted online. I'm targeting one billed as the biggest ever. But curiously, you can't purchase tickets via the web. You need to phone a special number. One of our researchers makes the call.
I'm looking to get some tickets for Summer of Love revival. Oh, I need to deposit the money in a bank account.
Time is against us because they're insisting we hand the money over today. Our research is about to deposit £22 into a secret bank account. What's worrying is the fact that apart from a single phone number, we've got no means of contacting the party organisers. This could be a complete waste of money. The deal is, they'll text us when it's time to collect our tickets. The organisers of the squat party aren't planning to reveal the location until an hour before it starts. But security boss Steve Cross has had a tip-off that they're planning to target one of the buildings he manages.
We know that there's a rave that's been reported to be happening down here in the E14 area, and because if we go over to the other side over here, we have a large warehouse, and that's a very, very classic target because it's vacant. Okay fellas, same thing then, let's just close these 2 gates off and that's us done here.
Cameras, extra security guards and even trucks to block an entrance. Steve has taken extensive measures to keep out the ravers, but his strategy doesn't always work. 2 months ago, a squat party took place at this Battersea office block. They managed to defeat Steve's best precautions. This footage shows the party happening. The dancing and vandalism lasted a marathon 45 hours. After the rave had finished, Steve received a tip-off and raced to the scene to re-secure the premises. When they arrived, it was clear the partygoers had done their worst.
This is the classic signs of, continuous rave parties. This used to be a beautiful building. This is just absolutely trash now. All they're doing is causing criminal damage in my view.
Amongst the debris is proof that squat parties aren't just about having fun. They're cash-making ventures planned with military precision.
This is organised, this is profiteering. More signs up there saying how much things are costing.
Steve reckons the organisers raked in at least £60,000, and that doesn't take into account money earned from the sale of drugs and narcotics.
It's a business and it's big money for them, it must be, otherwise they wouldn't go to so much trouble. I believe there's criminal background here as well, because this will feed and fund drugs and further raves. We've had 3 of our properties squatted recently, and the same devastation, the same effect.
But it's the cost of repairing these sites that's a real concern for Steve and the developers whose buildings he manages. It can run into tens of thousands of pounds.
Firstly, we've got the solicitors' fees in order to get the squatters out. I mean, that could be anything sort of up to £5,000 per time. Clean up, we have to get specialist cleaners in, because clearly we're not sure of what is in this mess. There could be needles. Well, I don't like to think how much it's going to cost. It's going to be significant.
24 hours after depositing our money, we finally get a text giving us the location of the squat party. It's not one of Steve's premises, but an office block near Old Street. And when we go in, the place is packed. 1,000 people at £22 a ticket. The takings are a cool 22 grand. The owners of this property don't want to speak on camera, but told us the cost of repairing the damage to their building could put them out of business. It may seem that squat parties are only a problem for large property developers, but increasingly it's beginning to impact everyone.
If you go outside the door sort of on a Sunday morning, well, all day really Sunday, it used to vibrate under your feet. And at first I thought, what's that, because it's just unusual. And then I realised it was coming from over there.
Barbara has lived in the same corner of Wapping all her life, opposite a disused warehouse. Recently, the building has become a haven for squat parties, turning her once quiet neighbourhood upside down.
If they're bringing drugs into the area, well then that is a big concern, because I've got a 12-year-old granddaughter that lives with me, and I don't want her out on the streets with people all taking drugs and stuff, and then you get dealers down there.
The appearance of these people in the community has given the community a totally destabilising effect. It causes people to feel threatened.
The lives of local residents disrupted, developers struggling to protect their properties. You'd think the police would crack down on this problem, but when it comes to squat parties, they're virtually powerless due to a law called Section 6.
Section 6 is a clause in the law that provides rights to squatters, that actually dictates that police are not allowed to enter that building if there are so many people actually occupying it.
The legislation is intended to enable the homeless to take shelter in abandoned buildings. But party organisers are exploiting these squatters' rights to make money.
We believe they've got scouts, and they've obviously got a good idea of where warehousing is, and these scouts' fundamental job is to go around and have a look.
This CCTV footage shows scouts breaking into a disused warehouse. As soon as they've unloaded their sound systems, they stick up a Section 6 notice and party for over 36 hours, safe in the knowledge they're protected by the law.
All the time that the Section 6 is up, we cannot do anything other than watch our property be demolished. I definitely think that this particular aspect of the law is wrong and certainly needs changing.
When we talk around the realms of squatters, there are strict parameters as to what we can and can't do with that. Generally what we do is we support a civil process around court orders and supporting appointed bailiff companies with local authorities to try and do what we can to eject, but it is a long process.
It's a fact. Squat parties are more popular than ever. What began as a scene strictly for those who wanted to have fun is now evolving into something more sinister. And unless the police are given the powers to stop a destructive minority, scenes like this are going to become more common.
Since we finished filming, the Minister of Justice has acknowledged that Section 6 legislation needs to be reviewed and clarified to enable the police to deal with squat parties more effectively. Now then, still to come on tonight's show.
Oh golly, You wouldn't want to slip it in your handbag.
No, you really...
That's about 375,000.
Is that all?
It's the price of a small flat.
A small flat in London.
It's been 5 years since the world-famous Routemaster bus retired from regular service. But even seeing this old fella here in the Transport Museum